Oh, we were totally like the thing is when we started Rap Genius as an art project. So it was totally our passion because it was just like a hobby, you know? And you know, I was annotating stuff right off the bat. A bunch of us were like, you know, there were 6 or 7 of us who were like the founding writers. And then everyone's got varying levels of commitment to the company now, but everyone is still like at least kind of involved. So that's kind of cool. You know, I mean, how can you not be passionate about, everyone right off the bat knew this is going to be the biggest website of all time. So it's just like a question of what do I want my commitment to that to be? And, you know, maybe I chose to get involved too deep. Like sometimes I think to myself, I'm the Rap Genius guy. I guess I always knew, but I mean, now experiencing it, it's kind of overwhelming, you know? Like sometimes I think maybe I would have been better off just being a corporate lawyer. But at least what's cool about being involved in the project I'm involved in is it's bringing a new way of thinking to human culture, like a new way of congealing human knowledge and critiquing things and creating dialogue around texts. So I'm willing to suffer the corporate heat to bring this tremendous message to humanity, because I think it's bigger than Facebook, you know? It's like much better than Wikipedia, and that makes it better than Facebook. So, well, it just depends who, you know, it depends who. And I don't get to meet that many people. Like sometimes I'll just go out, like I'll be at like a CVS, you know, and suddenly some like random kid runs up and he's like, "Yo, Rap Genius guy, you know, like your site changed my life." And like that's the cool thing. Like I think who Rap Genius has really touched are people who are young enough that I'm very unlikely to meet them. You know, like unfortunately, like I don't get to meet the people who are the ones who like grew up with Rap Genius. But like now what we're starting to do is try to like systematize going to colleges to speak. Like in the end of March, we're doing our first master's tea at Yale. And that's really cool because like when we originally started what was at that point rapexegesis.com, we started it in order to obtain a master's tea at Yale. You know, it's like that's what we want to do. We want to like have this website that gets us a master's tea at Yale. So it's finally doing it. We're finally doing our first master's tea at Yale. And then yesterday I saw that I am a prize in like some kind of Columbia University raffle.
That you got rejected from a school that you got rejected from.
Yeah. Like they're like, you know, participate in this you know, raffle for whatever, and like one of the prizes is have lunch with the Rap Genius guy. I'm like, wow, who would want to have lunch with me? You know, I never even put the napkin on my lap. You know, I'm a total mess. Honestly, there's never even any conflict. There's never any conflict. Like everything just goes together so organically because like, for me, the way that I see it, it's like Tom is just this creative god of the website. You know, like he built the actual thing. He's always got this grandiose vision. And then Elon is like the maker. You know, he's like the Hercules of the game. He's the one who can actually build the thing, make the deal that needs to be made, like, you know, manage what's going on. And then I am the loudspeaker. You know, like I'm just able to communicate things in a bigger way and like tie things together. So we all just kind of operate in a way that it forms like Voltron. You know, like it all works together in such an organic way that, like, I'm not going to say that we've never raised our voices or anything like that, but there's never been true conflict. Like everything has just moved together so organically. We're a collective robot. You know, like at this point, we don't even have our own personalities anymore. It feels kind of like communist Russia. like basically, Rap Genius is the Stalinist Russia of the internet, but in a good way. Yeah. Also, like, you know, we're just we're committed to always being funny. You know, and a lot of times, unfortunately, the jokes get lost. Like, not everyone gets a joke, but you still have to make the joke. You know, because that's more important than anything. Is just to. I think that's the reason for the success of our website is its voice. You know, like everything in Rap Genius is a little bit tongue in cheek. And keeping that voice is critical. Like no other site has a voice like that. You know, like Quora, Wikipedia, they're a lot more stale, and that makes them a lot less engaging. Yeah, sometimes like if we make a joke that 80% of people are just going to be like, what are these idiots saying? You know, they're totally offended by it. But if our core audience of people who are actually involved in Rap Genius still get it, then maybe it's still worth making that joke. You know, like it's a very, very small core audience who's the actual site. And then they turn it into something much, much bigger, just like Yelp. Like Yelp is another thing that has this core group of active Yelpers who, you know, the site's very useful for them too. Like it empowers them, it allows them to like voice their opinion on things, but then they're creating a product that a way bigger number of people end up using. Core philosophy is that it begins and ends with Twitter. Twitter is the great equalizer of marketing because it doesn't matter how much money you have. You know, being passionate on Twitter is a rare thing. And it's the only real way to build a brand. Like my core function for years was that I would search Rap Genius or rapgenius.com, like any possible iteration on Twitter, and anytime anyone was talking about us, I would @reply them. And that's how I think I built the whole community, was through Twitter. Without Twitter, there would be no Rap Genius. And I think that is true about a lot of brands. There's a lot of brands who, through being effective on Twitter and truly using it to its full advantage, they can obtain something that money simply can't buy. Soon, but you know, like, I'm really divided in my love. Like, those are the two, they're tied for being the two best websites in the world, Rap Genius and Twitter. Because Twitter truly built something, and Facebook is up there too. Like, you know, Facebook is a way for all people to communicate. Rap Genius is the great intellectual dialogue. And then Twitter is a way to search things globally. Like you can search any time that anyone's talking about Rap Genius or what they think about the weather that day or whatever you want. So those are the big three for me. Well, hey man, I cheated, I fucked up. You know, it was really a bad thing, and I got to learn to be more patient. You know, it's hard to be patient when you know that your site is going to be the biggest website in the world, and you're waiting there, and it's not. You know, it's not the biggest; it's the 80th biggest. You know, it's like, what the fuck's going on? You know? And I just always want to make a lot of noise. You know, and sometimes I make big errors in judgment. It's, you know, really shameful on me, and it's bad for a lot of people. It's bad for the users of Google too, who are like not able to get to the best page for what they're looking for. But the coolest thing that's happened in the past couple weeks is the launch of the Rap Genius app. And the cool thing about the Rap Genius app is that you can get to Rap Genius directly, and it's called Genius. You know, it ties together poetrygenius.com, Rock Genius, News Genius, and then it also has a built-in Shazam function. which means that you can instantly get the annotated lyrics to any song that's playing. So Rap Genius is not a website. In reality, Rap Genius launched 2 weeks ago when the Genius app came out, because this is always meant to be an app. 60% of our traffic is mobile, and 60% of that is iPhone. And eventually, this is going to be how everyone is using our site. In 1,000 years from now, when aliens come down and they're looking at Rap Genius, they're not going to think of it as a website. They're going to think of it as that really, really dope app. Well, as I've said many times, I feel terrible about insulting Mark Zuckerberg. That was supposed to be a joke, and a lot of people just didn't get it. And it came off that I'm insulting this guy who I have tremendous respect for. And the crazy thing is the huge amount of support that he'd shown Rap Genius before I fucked it up. He had had our back when people talk shit about us, and so I really, really fucked up. That was like a perfect example of me trying to make a joke, and it totally fucked everything up. So I truly regret it, and as I said, I think Facebook is a game changer in human culture too, in the same way that Rap Genius is. Facebook is a way for people to communicate, in the same way that Rap Genius is a way for them to have a dialogue with text. So they're like sisters. I think Rap Genius and Facebook are like sisters. Well, we just have to see how things go. Right now the most important thing is my baby. So we're gonna have to get the baby to IPO City. It's gonna be a couple years away. And then what's the ticker gonna be? Rap G, RG, maybe just Rap. That would be a pretty good ticker. And NASDAQ, they let you use 4. So the problem with that is that Rap Genius is basically a cathedral. So what price would you sell Chartres Cathedral? It's priceless. And then also, if you sell your company, you have to work for someone else. So clearly I can't work for anyone else. And then the thing is, who would buy Rap Genius? Rap Genius is going to be the fabric of the internet. We're going to have annotations on other sites. So every other site in the world, like Wall Street Journal, New York Times, are going to be Genius powered. And they're going to have our annotations on them. And then the Genius platform will take over the internet. Everyone's most important statistic that they have in life is their Genius IQ in their related field. You want to get a good job as a programmer? What's your code IQ? You want to get a job at a fashion magazine? What's your fashion IQ on Fashion Genius? So who would buy Rap Genius? I could see Rap Genius buying Google or whatever, but if you have something that's going to be the fabric of the internet, it's going to be the biggest site, the biggest phenomenon on the entire internet. Yeah, no, and hopefully it becomes, hopefully annotating things becomes like email. It's just a medium that people use for getting things done because it's convenient. It's a convenient way to have a dialogue with a bunch of people who are not in the same place. And the critical thing is awarding IQ. Right now, what every newspaper and media website has is comments at the bottom of articles. And the comments are, disaggregated clump. You don't know what part of something anyone's talking about. And if you're an actual intelligent person, you have a disincentive to leave a comment because it's just going to get lost in this giant muddle. Whereas with leaving quality annotations, the main way that you get IQ is on the votes that an annotation gets. So if you leave something that's high quality, it's going to get a bunch of upvotes. So you get a giant boost in your IQ from leaving that annotation. So we incentivize people to put good dialogue on things, whereas right now there's a huge disincentive. And the dialogue is still the biggest part. Like when you go to a news website on the internet, the article gets probably as much eyeball time as the comments do. So these shit comments are still getting a bunch of attention. So if you can replace them with something that's 10 times better, then that's going to be fucking huge. Well, I don't think anyone should be an aspiring entrepreneur. Like, I'm a firm believer that, like, if there's something to do, you stumble onto it, you know? So I think the best thing is to put yourself in positions where you can meet a lot of other people who are likely to pull, like, you know, I didn't stumble onto Rap Genius, you know, Tom built this site, then I got to work on. So, like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, I think the best thing that you can do is get into consulting. That's what I think is the best, like, you know, stumble into something entrepreneurial position to put yourself in. So I went to law school. That's not bad either, you know, like overall, I'm very grateful that I went to law school, particularly because I went to Stanford, which, you know, that's like the coolest place. I wish I went there for undergrad too. But law school is not as good as working for like Bain or McKinsey or something like that. That's what I kind of wish I'd done.